Hello, Exeter, and today we have Tom Bergeron.
Car, so I done that, and then after that I bent over.
So Tom, you have been in Exeter for roughly 20 years now.
Yeah.
So fill me in. What drew you to Exeter 20 years ago?
That's interesting. Actually, Exeter was very much a conscious decision to kind of move here. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a tight-knit French-Canadian neighborhood in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Very different than Exeter. When I got out of college, I wanted to be in New Hampshire. I spent a lot of my summers and weekends hiking, skiing, et cetera, in New Hampshire. So we actually had a job opportunity in southwestern New Hampshire. A company in Henniker, living in Antrim on a lake, which is a beautiful spot, wonderful part of this part of the state. But it's very rural and not as much kind of going on as the seacoast area. So once we had kids and my kids were getting close to school age, we realized there's just a lot more activities, opportunities for them to do things. And in the eastern part of southern New Hampshire. So we actually kind of did a bunch of weekends. We started from Manchester and went to Portsmouth and just visited towns in southern New Hampshire. And we came to Exeter, we just loved it. We spent a weekend here. It really matched kind of what we were looking for. The right size town, it wasn't too big. Wasn't as small as the areas we were coming to. We loved the people, we liked the academy being there. Probably would have been nice to be close to the White Mountains, but we're so close to the ocean, we just thought it was a great area. So we kind of made a decision to settle in Exeter. I have a lot of family. My dad was in York at the time. My sister in Nottingham, sister in Derry. So it was a good central location for us and just a wonderful community. And I think we're always happy. Every time we talk about it, we're just happy that we picked Exeter as the town to move to.
And your face is even lighting up now.
Yeah.
So along the way, somewhere within this 20 years, you said that you've gotten involved with one of the churches here in town. And is that the only thing you've been involved in terms of activities or groups or? So
we belong to the Exeter Congregational Church. Mm-hmm. We've been involved with that since we moved into town. And it's interesting talking about church and religion, because I think nowadays it's almost tied into politics. When I was younger, it wasn't necessarily the case, but I think especially the news does an awful lot about evangelical Christians and Catholics kind of as a group, where there's a lot of mainstream Protestant and other denominations out there that don't necessarily tie our faith into our politics as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm really amazed at how much the church does for the town. Obviously there's the members themselves, but there's a lot of outreach to the community.
Yeah, do you guys hold any soup kitchens or?
So we have had a food pantry in the past. We've kind of joined with the St. Vincent de Paul. They have such a great organization there, so we still collect food and kind of place that there. But we're involved with things like Seacoast Family Promise, helping out volunteering, both time and kind of food for that. There's Haven and Gather, kind of local communities that help. A lot of folks, looking at children, helping out women, helping out kind of homeless. So there's a lot of outreach we do for that in the community. And we just find, it adds a lot and adds a community that we're involved with. And it also adds back to the kind of Exeter and greater Exeter community as well.
All right, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Getting involved and giving, and especially a community that you love so much. Yeah. Were there any other groups or associations or anything that you've been drawn to over the years?
I think I like the outdoors. So there's just a lot of kind of more loose-knit organizations as far as just going out and getting activities done. I belong to a group, we call ourselves the River Runners. Mm-hmm. It started off as we ran and we kayaked, and that kind of was a name that kind of tied together. And we did, 100 Reach the Beach Relay, which is a team relay, 12 people running from the White Mountains out to the seacoast. That's kind of how we got to know each other. But from there, it's grown into a group that we hike together, we ski together, we kayak together. We just get together for bonfires in each other's backyards and stuff like that. So there's a lot of communities in Exeter like that. involved with a similar one around mountain biking. We all have that as a common theme and common passion, and get together on a weekly basis. Even in the winter, we'll ride through with the fat tire bikes in the snow, but very much so. I think the spring's the toughest time with the mud. You can't really go out on the trails, but through the summer and the winter, kind of getting together from that end. There's a group of folks, Fort Rock skaters, skating out in Fort Rock on the ponds and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of small groups kind of built up in Exeter. It's one thing we love about the community, the ability to find folks with common interests, common passions, and kind of build a community around that.
Nice, very nice. Probably had a lot of great skates over the last 20 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, and I can't imagine. Those giant fat mountain bike tires through the winter. I go using gaiters and snowshoes already. It's like difficult enough.
The bike surprisingly works well in the snow. It's kind of typically have studded tires in them, so the studs kind of catch on the ice, which is the biggest thing. And I prefer cross-country skiing over the fat bike, so if the snow is nice enough, I'll do that. But when the snow conditions aren't as good, the fat tire bike works out pretty well.
Nice. Okay, and so you were a co-founder, I believe, of this group called
Inventive Labs.
Inventive Labs.
Yeah.
And so fill me in, because this is kind of like a unique concept. I'd never seen anything like it before, of what that is and how you started or were a co-founder for that.
Yeah. So most of my career was in technology. The company I worked for out in Henniker was a software company, technology, and continued that when I came back in this area, working for some .coms and other technology companies. And a lot of startup companies, kind of starting from scratch. And at the last company that you said co-founder, my partner Rick and I, kind of as that company got sold off, we were kind of looking at, is there another technology company we wanted to do? And we really couldn't get excited about it. We had done it a few times and didn't really have the excitement. We were having a lot of discussions, though, about just our own backgrounds and some of the folks we've worked with. Some, I think you might call it kind of eccentric folks that super successful in the startup world, and a lot of discussions around challenges with school. I myself really struggled in early grades in school. As went along, kind of got a little bit better, but definitely school for me was never a positive experience. And we were just talking about, what about these folks that struggle with school but have these great gifts, these people we've worked with in the past? How can we help them kind of get up and running and figure out their path forward? So we originally started as entrepreneurship, helping them start businesses. And in that age range, that 18 to 22 age range, it's tough to start your own business. But we found we were helping them find careers. Some through college and some going around college. So some were just natural sales folks. Sales, you don't necessarily need a degree to go in, and they kind of went off and did that. Some were very technical folks and could put their skills together. And some, we helped them find their true interest, what they wanted to do for a career. And using that, they then decided this is the right school with the right major for me, and they kind of went off and found their career going forward.
Nice. This is very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Yeah. It's interesting because that's part of what we do. We try and help folks find unique careers. The things the guidance counselor may not talk to you about.
That question you never get asked your senior year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious, if it's not confidential, what would have been the most unique idea or concept or type of business you may have helped somebody start?
Yeah. So I think, technology kind of businesses. Mm-hmm. We had a group that came in, kind of one of our early ones, and they created a phone app. Mm-hmm. It was called the Wake Up. It was a phone app that in the morning, instead of being woken up by alarm, you got woken up by your friends and families leaving videos for you. And so it's kind of a great tool to wake up, especially for those who hate to get out of bed in the morning. It was pretty cool. The interesting thing, they got some traction with the app, but it never really kind of took off the app itself. But all three of them used that experience without a college degree to go on to into a different career. One did the financial stuff. He's off now working as an accountant. One's at a startup, Toast in Boston, which is a startup that's just taken off and done really well. The other one's working for a defense contractor down in DC, one of the big defense contractors. And actually, I just helped him get his security clearance. I was one of the interviews for him to kind of get that as well. So it's kind of a story that the company itself didn't go, but the experience they learned from that really helped them launch their career and kind of get into their next steps.
Fascinating. Very fascinating. So you also seem like a tech guy.
Yeah,
What it sounds like. May have only just said it a couple times during this interview, but so what was your initial draw to being in tech?
So I went to school for engineering, and this is actually part of why we set up Inventive Labs. So I wasn't a great student, but I was good at math. So in high school, they said, "Oh, you should be an engineer. Engineers are good, good at math." So I went to University of Lowell at the time, University of Massachusetts at Lowell, for electrical engineering. And I picked electrical because my dad was an electrician, so it seemed like a natural thing. What I found out, though, after I did 3 years of school and I did a co-op over the summer, was I didn't want to work for a defense contractor. It didn't match my personality. It was being in a cubicle and 10,000 people at Raytheon kind of working together.
And you had all sorts of energy.
I sort of energy. Yeah, I was like, hey, and I have friends that went off and did that, and it's a wonderful career for a lot of folks. It wasn't kind of a career that matched what I wanted to do, but it did kind of build me, the foundations of technology. And when I graduated, although I didn't take the offer from Raytheon like most of my classmates, computer-aided drawing was brand new. Most people were on the drafting board, and computer-aided drawing was just coming to the computer. So that's kind of how I started my career. My older brother was also an electrician, general contractor, and helped him get his CAD system up and running. I started customizing it, and that's when I found the company in in Henniker, that was doing a bunch of customizing as well. So I joined them, and we had a great ride. We grew to a few hundred people. The company had to go public. We got bought by Autodesk, which is the big player in the industry, and that was kind of the start of my entrepreneurship and tech career.
All right, that was quite the story.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of, if we're going to be closing our time shortly, is there any last words, anything you'd like to share, say? Exeter,
Yeah.
tech, inventive, the church.
Yeah, I don't know. For us, our root of that, there's a lot that I've done and kind of worked on, but I just think Exeter kind of being at the hub for us. We plan to be here for a long time. We just love what the academy brings to the town. A complete aside, we just love we love the downtown. Was the reason why we moved here, but we also feel there's a lot of growth that can happen in the downtown area as well. That waterfront, Swayze's awesome, but the rest of the waterfront is just a beautiful place. We just think Exeter to kind of expand and grow a bit with all we have to offer here, and love to be part of helping that take root going forward, and love Exeter as it is, but also look forward to kind of what Exeter has a potential to grow into as well.
Yeah, and giving and supporting the community.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tom, thank you.
Well, thanks. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. And you heard it, folks. If you would like to be in the spotlight or recommend somebody, you can always contact us at extvg@exeternh.gov. Thank you, and have a great day.